The Royal Liberty of Havering, a land of privilege for the few and punishment for the many. They say liberty means freedom, but here it means the freedom to hang your neighbour when he forgets his place. Look upon them, one of you, a field hand, a tanner, a herdsman. It scarcely matters now. The rope has no respect for trade or talent, only guilt. And guilt is whatever the Lord says it is.
By order of Lord Geoffrey de Morlaix, justice is done.
Justice. A word worn thin by the tongues of the powerful. Once it meant fairness, mercy, truth. Now it means obedience.
Can I have one of my players roll me a d6?
I'm going to pick on Ren. Go on, Ren. Do it.
All right. 6.
Michelle, whose eyes in the crowd do you search for first, and do you find them?
I'm looking for Emily's character.
Do you think you see them?
Not their eyes. They're looking somewhere else. But I see them.
As you stand upon this wooden platform, a man affixes a rope. Hooded face, you can just about see the whites of eyes. Emily, when their eyes look out to yours, what passes between you as you don't connect back? Is it fear, pride, guilt, something else?
Shame. Looking at the ground.
Do you believe they deserve this? Even just a little bit?
I think that's where the shame is coming from. I think there's a part of me that is glad it's happening, and I'm ashamed of that.
Michelle, what sin do you believe brought you here?
Is it a sin to disobey if the order doesn't deserve to be obeyed?
Ren, what does your character think they will tell of this story later when someone asks if you were there?
I was never there. I see nothing.
The noose tightens, the trap creaks, and as the sun breaks through the clouds, the shadow of the gallows stretches long, reaching over the fields, the hovels, the manor, the graves. It will not stop at one. This is where their story ends, or so it seems. But the dead have a way of whispering to the living. And in the year of our Lord 1376, in the mud and hunger of Havering, whispers can become fire. Let us go back before the rope was tied, before the betrayal, before the many began their work.
Morning light filters weakly through the cracked glass of St. Leonard's Church, turning dust motes into drifting ghosts. Today's sermon is over. Father Anselm's voice still echoes faintly from the stone walls, his words about patience and obedience clinging to the air like damp wool. Outside, the churchyard lies quiet. Leaning gravestones tilt towards the earth. The ground underfoot is soft and uneven, sinking slightly with each step. And a withered elm tree stands by the gate, its trunk carved with initials of many who are long dead now. He blesses each villager as they pass, does the priest, voice low, eyes sunken from too many sleepless nights recently. Keep your faith, children, he says through a muffled voice. His own tone holds none. Keep to your work. The Lord sees all, and so do men who see themselves his equals. Michelle, you filter past the priest. Who do we see?
Ruth is quite a young woman, probably in her early 20s. She's dressed very simply, but quite practically for a young woman. She wears a skirt, of course, but it's broad enough that she can take strides. She has her hair covered, she's in church, and she has scrubbed her nails as clean as they can be, as she always does the one time a week when she washes her face and hands, because she doesn't want to dip into the holy water and get it mucky. She keeps her eyes kind of low and head bowed, but she'll glance up at the priest as he blesses her just briefly to acknowledge and say, "Thank you, Father. An excellent sermon as always."
It's always lovely to have you here in the congregation. I look out every week and hope to see your face.
Oh, thank you, Father. And she'll kind of bow her head again, and she's going to make her way towards the further end of the graveyard, where there aren't individual headstones, but more simple little markers.
And if you wouldn't mind kind of shaping what this looks like, then tell me, what do you see in this quieter end of the graveyard?
There aren't any great cenotaphs or large monuments in this particular graveyard. It's a lot of headstones, many of which have been partially reclaimed by moss and ivy, many of which are very carefully maintained by the survivors who come to pay their tribute. This far end where Ruth is headed is fairly unattended. There's not a great deal here that would even indicate that it is part of the cemetery, beyond the fact that Ruth herself brings one of her scythes when she can to just hack back some of the grass and make sure there's a pathway to this area where simple stones with initials carved in, sticks, and the tree that you mentioned that grows over it all lie. And there's an area which has been very carefully maintained, and Ruth takes the 3 dried stems of barley that have dried out and withered from last Sunday and puts 3 fresh stems down on 3 little grave markers that are just next to each other in a circle.
As you do this, as you look out across the village and think about the people who live here, who's someone who doesn't live here anymore that you miss dearly?
There used to be this old man. Everyone just called him Uncle Stories. Ruth never learned his real name, because whenever the children got too rough and tumble in their playing and someone fell over and skinned their knees, which was very frequently Ruth, then they'd go running to Uncle Stories, who was always sat near where the kids were playing, and he would soothe their tears by telling a wonderful story, which Ruth now as an adult understands were stories from the Bible. But as a child, she just knew them as fantastical, whimsical tales of magical places and good people doing their best. He left a long time ago. He was old. Ruth doesn't know where he was buried. She's never found his grave marker because she didn't know his name. But she thinks about him when she's here.
And as you continue to ponder upon the memory of people no longer with us, Ren, your character is currently being spoken to by a kind of haughty-looking woman who will, kind of be standing with elbows out, shoulders wide, arms together, wrapped in a threadbare shawl. You know this as Mrs. Treadwell, Martha. She speaks in a voice that carries further than she means it to. So everyone will hear what Martha is saying as she will proclaim, "You've heard the news, haven't you? De Morley's got it sealed from the king himself. Royal Liberty, they call it. Means he can do whatever devilry he pleases in Havering. Hang a man for spitting. Beat a woman for looking too proud. Won't stop me."
Wouldn't expect much to stop you, Miss Treadwell.
Too right. Sheriff won't lift a finger now. Who do we see that Martha is speaking to?
Trying not to look annoyed, but somewhat failing. You see a man in his mid to late 40s. His hair is a bit of a cloud on his head. It's gone a bit reddish. He's outside a lot in his youth, and it never went back to the way that it should have been. Dark-skinned, tall of stature, has a very upright sense about him, but the wear of age is beginning to show. His shoulders don't sit quite as square as they used to. He's dressed fairly simply in a cotton wool shirt, the buttons done up. It is Sunday, and his nicest trousers, which have only been hemmed maybe 3 times, maybe 4 times, depends. But he is trying to be patient and listen to Martha, because he knows if he's rude, then the next thing that she talks about will be him.
And as you're thinking that you have to listen and not be rude, she continues to speak and spits into the mud. And as she has explained this Royal Liberty, I'm going to start a clock. This is called the county clock. As you all feel a change in the air. There is a clock ticking in this county, but none of you hear it quite yet.
Ooh.
This is a 5-segment clock. And it begins now. Emily, there's a small child runs up to you with an apple.
Hello, what have we got here?
I stole this from my mum.
Oh, I can tell. I can smell it.
Do you want to split it?
Oh no, love, it's all right. I'm just enjoying the fragrance. You eat it. I'll enjoy watching you eat it.
And with that, there's a shout from across as Nell Potter's mum will scold her for running off with this apple. Nell's about 5 or 6, and she's known for doing things like this. As her mum will like, mind the mud, you little thief. That's the father's last good one. And the kid runs off, chomps into the apple. The priest will chuckle to himself, turn to you and to Nell's mum and say, "Beyond Havering, the land grows hungry and cruel. Any chance for a little one to have his sweet treat is good by me. Something's spreading, not plague, desperation. So any moment for them to have a small happiness is fine. I'll have another apple at some point."
Oh, I'm sure you will. Of all of us, I think you're the one who could afford more apples than most. How are the tides coming?
He pauses for a moment. They're slow, but that's to be understandable. People seem to have a little bit less than usual, but it doesn't tend to bring any happiness from, well, you know. Anyway, I'm not one to gossip. You know this is not true.
She absolutely knows. She kind of gives him a bit of a wink. Well, I'll let you get on, Father.
He will wander off and, like, kind of bow his head, bless you all, as he heads back into his church, closes the door behind him. Solomon, you will catch an eye looking at you as Martha continues to speak, saying, "Oh, they say in Ongar a man killed his own brother over a sack of rye." But then you see this other character who's just placed some fresh flowers on some graves.
Martha, don't know what the world's come to. Everyone's trying to get their own, do you mind excusing me just for 1 second, though?
I'm sorry. Am I boring you?
Oh,
No.
Martha, did I hear you say something about a murder? And she's going to sneak in and just kind of give you an excuse to kind of like peel away because she can tell you're like, what?
I feel that gives us our first chance for a roll of the game then.
Woo!
If I could get you please to make me an attempt to try and distract this individual. Now for Gallows Corner, I don't tell you what dice you're going to roll. It's a dice pool. You're either trying to distract or to interject, and you can tell me, Emily, which dice you would like to roll and how you would like to build that pool.
I'm assuming it's an emotional trait that I'm going to be using for this one,
Okay.
which is a D6.
Mhm.
Can I use an additional trait on top of that, like intellectual as well?
Yeah, absolutely. You can
Amazing.
stack these together, but why are you doing that? If you could explain. for me.
So emotionally, because she's trying to play on Martha's sort of like need to gossip. So she's just like, I know that you're about to be upset and I'm trying to distract you. And then intellectually, because I can see what's going on and I'm trying to like put myself kind of like literally like distract her in emotionally and intellectually by sort of diving in and giving Solomon an excuse to leave. I don't think my trade I mean maybe Sin Eater, people go to the Sin Eater to confess, so I could potentially use that as an additional thing because then she'd be more willing to maybe like talk to me about stuff like that. I'll leave that to you to adjudicate.
I
If
think
not, I'm
in
happy just to do the other two.
I think in this case, your trade and your job wouldn't apply because she's
Mhm.
quite happily open about this,
That's fair.
rather than a sin that she hides. So I would say it's
Mhm.
just the 2 dice here,
All right.
and what you're looking for is a 5 or above.
Okay.
Any dice.
On any dice, I
Yes.
failed.
You failed.
I got a 4 and a 2.
As you say, "What's this about a murder?" she will look at you with a level of disgust, as you know that people tend to try and avoid you a little, and say, "I'm sorry, Sybil, we're having a little bit of a private conversation over here."
Oh, don't mind me. Sorry, Doctor. I did try. She's like a wonder.
We'll look at Solomon and say, "Well, I guess I am boring you then. I'm sure I shan't mention that around town."
Martha, I never said the like. I just, I wanted to have a small conversation with, and he will look towards the graveyard, not at Ruth, but towards the graveyard in general, with the family.
Ooh. Could you make me an attempt to either? Are you looking to deceive? Are you looking to be honest? Or like, how are you playing this? Are you lying to us women?
I think Solomon does go to the graveyard at times. It wasn't in his thoughts to do it right now after church. So he's going to do what he said he's going to do. He's not lying.
Yeah.
It's just talking to Ruth is also a part of that, and also getting out of this conversation.
I guess that makes sense. So what dice would you be looking to add to this then?
I'm trying to, I think, appeal emotionally to her, which is a D6 for me.
Okay.
Then do I apply anything else to this that makes sense? So I'm having a look at my things. I don't think. No.
Okay. I think then that's a single D6.
Yeah. Single D6. No, it's a 2.
She will look affronted and say, "There's no reason to lie," and turns and walks off.
Oh, I'm going to hear about that later. Okay. But he will make his way towards the graveyard.
Okay, you make your way towards the graveyard and you're looking to speak to the family. Do you approach Ruth, or what do you think happens in this moment?
I think as he kind of makes a circumventing path around, he doesn't walk through. He knows where his parents are, where his sister is, where his wife is. But he doesn't immediately go to any of them. He comes around towards Ruth.
I think Ruth is just standing up from where she was kneeling and saying a little prayer, and sort of bumps backwards and I'm terribly sorry, Doctor.
It's no trouble. Ruth, isn't it?
That's correct, yes.
And he looks down to the barley that you've placed. And then for a moment, it looks like he came over here with an intent, and then immediately it leaves him, because he then moves on towards crops are faring well this season.
Oh, well, it has been hard to keep up with demand, but I've been doing my bit. Is there anybody that you know of who needs anything extra?
I mean, there are many who suffer in this place. You and I know as well. If I point out one, Lord knows you'd probably have more trouble than it's worth.
I understand. I always remember what you said when Abigail was... I remember when you said that eating will help keep her strength up, and, you know, if there is ever anyone who needs help keeping their strength up, you can let me know. I wouldn't repeat it to Martha or anything.
God, I think she can hear even when you're speaking quietly. She always knows something.
Well, I wouldn't want to gossip, but she does always seem to know, doesn't she?
But the farm is faring well. You're doing well.
I'm doing just fine. Thank you, Doctor.
As you finish that sentence, you both begin to hear voices singing or humming a harvest tune. A group of young women, they're spreading barley on cloth to dry. This tune is lilting and circular. It's sung in rounds around the group, and you hear some of the lyrics that include the turn the wheel, the Lord will mend, wheat will die, and rise again. And this continues. It's a moment to just bask in and consider what happens year to year, that the cycles come and go, the wheel continues to turn. And one of them will forget the words at one point, and a laugh rings out amongst them all. And for a moment, this whole place feels alive with colour and life, spreading from here in the churchyard down to the village green. And then it's broken by the sounds of screams.
Well, I think Solomon immediately starts moving in the direction towards it.
Doctor,
Ruth, take care of yourself. Get to somewhere safe. I'm going to see what's going on.
I think Ruth will kind of cast around her, like, she knows Nell was in church today. The other young people, is there anyone who she can't see, that's not accounted for?
No, I would say that understanding the young people around here, that you can see that everyone you would expect to be here is within eyesight, but they all look a little panicked as well.
Yeah, I think having seen that, she's gonna quietly, not drawing attention to the good doctor, she's gonna follow behind him.
I think he's more immediately focused ahead of him. He doesn't notice.
Okay.
I think Sybil as well is uncaring about who sees, is bustling down towards wherever the noise is coming from. And Sybil is quite a large woman, like thick arms, kind of very round belly, like holding up her skirts a little bit. Not that it matters because they're tatty and like frayed anyway, and she's just like covered in like a filthy apron and everything. She's just like nosy as ever, very curious to see what's going on down wherever the scream is coming from.
You make your way in that direction. The road winds down from the church through churned mud, thin fields towards the green, the heart of Havering. A wide patch of trampled earth surrounded by a bunch of crooked cottages. In the centre of this green stands an old wooden post, blackened with rain and time. And around it, a crowd has gathered. Women clutching at shawls, the elderly, men standing in silence, and at the centre, a man that perhaps Ruth you probably know best, Thomas Hayward, a local farmer, kneels in the mud. His shirt is torn open, blood streaks his back. Over him looms Sir Aldous Riven, de Morley's tithe collector. A knight by name only, with armour dull and stained, flanked by two other soldiers, their faces hidden behind helms. This is when we'll begin to start our scene clock, which is a 4-segment clock called a spark catches. The men begin to beat Thomas in front of you, and the crowd remains deathly silent. What do you all do in this immediate moment?
Oh, I think right now Sybil is overwhelmed by the complicity, I suppose, of doing nothing. So like the crowd is just allowing this to happen, and she is soaking that in. She's like, oh, it's like walking past a bakery. Mm. And for the moment, she's just kind of too overwhelmed to do anything yet.
Before anyone else acts, you'll hear a voice. His Grace, Lord de Morley, holds this land by royal decree. You owe your tithe in coin or grain, and if you've neither, you'll pay with your hide. You think a king's mercy stretches to peasants? You watch as Sir Aldous brings down a cudgel against this man. You hear what is a wet blow to this man's back.
Ruth lets out a scream that catches, so that's just the beginnings of it before it's strangled. And I think she'll stumble forward and say, I can pay his tithe, I can pay.
You'll have Martha Treadwell next to you, who'll just be like, quiet, girl, quiet. Don't cause any trouble.
I can pay for it. What? I can pay for Mr. Hayward.
Go ahead and try to convince them of this. I would like to see a roll here. What do you reckon you would do?
I think she's definitely acting on emotion here,
Mm-hmm.
which is a D6, but it is true that she has crops to spare, and she believes that maybe they'll accept what she has. So I'd love to try and use my trade and job to sort of the fact that this is true what she's offering. As a farmer, she has something to offer.
You have access to that, okay? Yeah, I'm happy with that. So you would add the additional dice for your trade, which is the earth, and for your job as a farmer.
Okay, so I've got 3d6 here.
And you need one singular 5 or a 6 in order to succeed,
Okay.
at least somewhat.
Oh, unfortunately, no. None of them were high enough.
You call out, and Martha will again be like, what are you doing? And will grab you back, and a soldier will turn his head to look in your direction, looking for the source of this voice, and will start to walk towards you as Sir Aldous will say, do you hear that, peasant? Looking at the man on the ground. It seems someone else would like to pay what you can't afford. Isn't that pathetic? Hits him again. The man grunts.
Ruth's
think
paralyzed. She made it worse. She doesn't know what to do. She's just paralyzed in a moment.
Sybil will step between the guard coming closer to Ruth. You right there, Billy? How's your sister?
Get out of my way, wretch.
Oh, that's not very nice after how much I helped you the other week. Is it?
And goes to raise a hand in your direction. And then stops himself for a moment. At this moment, you'll hear another blow echo against this man. The crows gathering on the rooftops that were once silent begin to caw. How dare you? This soldier says.
How dare I? Oh, well, I guess when you inevitably need some help, not too long from now, you'll have to go somewhere else. You think the church will be as accommodating as I am with the filth that goes on in your head?
I tried to pray it away. Tried to work until I was too tired to think at all. I told myself it was nothing, just a sickness of the mind, just a passing shadow. But it weren't nothing. who was my sister. I hate myself for it. I wake every morning with bile in my throat. I won't meet her eyes. I won't stand too close. I feel fouled. I've spilled blood without shaking. I've followed orders that should damn me, but this... This is the thing that makes me feel unclean. If God sees all, then he's already turned his face from me. Tell me. Tell me what a man does when the sin lives in his own head.
I would like you to try and convince this man further to leave you alone.
I am gonna use physical, because she's quite big and she's physically standing in the way, as well as emotional, to try and, because she's like playing with his head.
Mhm.
And then I'm gonna use my trade because that's what she's claiming.
Makes sense. So that would be your trade and your job there, because
Oh
when you
shit!
play,
Yeah, great.
yeah. One singular 5.
Oh, I got a 5 and an 8. Hooray! Yes.
This man will look at you, and you can see beneath a helm a brow furrow. You swore you wouldn't say a word.
Oh, I haven't. Not yet.
Move on. Whoever that is, move them.
She'll do like a sarcastic curtsy and sort of back away and sort of grab Ruth and just pull her back a little bit into the crowd.
Looking at Thomas, how bad does he look already?
This man is in a bad way.
Hey. Solomon is... He's not frozen, but he's thinking of consequences. What does it mean for him to do something now? What does it mean for his children if he does something right now? And I think he watches the cudgel go up again, and he is going to step forward. Aye, all right. Whatever tithe he owes can be paid, but he can't pay it if he's dead.
That's thinking.
So all this will snap his head towards you, and this time we'll see you. And what does a bone surgeon care for this? You'll get some coin for what's to come next, yes?
I heal, I don't bring the dead back to life.
Huh. With this, you're gonna feel a kind of grab at your shoulder and say, please stop him from killing my husband.
He's not going to turn, but he's just going to put a hand on the arm that touches him. He's like, I'm trying my best.
And you'll see that there is a quite short older woman here, Agnes Hayward, tears flowing down her face. As Sir Aldous will look towards the individual on the ground once again and say, perhaps I acted too rashly. What do you think, Mr. Hayward? And the man turns to wheezily look up towards this face. and Thomas Hayward will spit blood from his mouth, turn towards this knight, and say, "Fuck you," as the cudgel smacks him in the jaw. A scream cries out as Agnes Hayward rushes towards the body.
Fuck's sake, Thomas. He'll rush as well.
Well, I hope this serves as a reminder. Tithes are due. Pay them. Don't make me come back. Billy turns away from Sybil. Heads back towards his superior. And they leave. Agnes will rush towards his body, kneeling beside her husband, pressing her hands to wounds. Her breath comes ragged. The face that you see, Solomon, is streaked with mud and tears. She'll look up to you with her eyes blazing, crying, help me, please, for God's sake, help him.
All right, I'll try to help him. Here, on the ground, in the mud, by God. So, whichever injury looks the most life-threatening is what he's going to attend to first. If Solomon has enough wherewithal to spit, he's probably mostly fine. Mostly.
I would love you to try and figure this out.
Okay.
Like looking at this individual to understand. So I would like to test that if possible.
All right. So, intellect based on previous experience, dealing with human anatomy, and also physical. He's like in there with his hands. He's like checking to see what's broken, what gives where it shouldn't give. This is the flesh, so it's everything to do with my trade, my job as Sawbones, as the doctor, and if anything needs to be set, I'm very skilled at that.
Okay, I'm happy with all of those justifications. I would like to go ahead and roll. Michelle?
Is there a way that I can help? Does that mechanic exist in this game?
It doesn't specifically, but what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that Ruth knows Agnes and Thomas Hayward, so she would go to Agnes and take her hands and pray with her, just to mean that Solomon has the room to work without Agnes also sort of being, emotionally, it's sort of over hovering over, being sort of in the way without meaning to be.
I think I would happily have you have a separate roll in order to perhaps try and calm her down. So whilst if you want to think about what you'd like to roll, and then we'll resolve for Solomon at that time.
Cool. This is this. What's that number? We have 1-5.
1-5. You check this man's body to look for where the most pressing injuries are. His lower half of his legs seem to be untouched. He hasn't been hit here. You'll see that there are wounds to his back, the shirt torn open. And as you're moving further up the body, you think, okay, perhaps there's a way that we can try and mend these wounds. And the anguish of the wife continues beside you as Ruth comes over and tries to calm. And then you look towards the man's face and towards his temple specifically.
Oh, shit.
And this cudgel had connected with the side of the man's face as the "fuck you" rung out across this square. You know that this man has about 90 seconds left, and there's nothing you can do about it. But what's most important right now is that his wife doesn't lose her mind at what is about to happen. And I think that lies quite importantly in what Ruth is going to try and do here. Michelle, what do you reckon in terms of roles?
So Ruth is going to kneel down beside Agnes in the mud and take both hands in her hands and hold onto her. She's physically holding her to try and still her movement and bring her focus. And she's going to say, Agnes, isn't he brave? Pray with me, Agnes. Pray with me. And I'm trying to use both the physical and the emotional presence here to just bring her to a calmer state.
Okay, go ahead and roll.
Okay, so that's 1d8 and 1d6. I'm rolling. I got a 5. Got a 5 on the d8.
Okay, great, amazing. She begins to quietly pray under her breath alongside you as you're holding onto her hands, and her whole demeanor kind of calms ever so slightly before she was physically shaking and shuddering, and that starts to reduce. Before we go any further, whilst I remember, Emily, I'm going to give you a mechanical moment, which is called an opportunity, because of that interaction with Billy, because I thought that was really great. So at any point in the future, you want to use that opportunity, you can change some things. So that's a mechanical thing that comes in. You just tell me when you want to use that, and we can like change the situation in some way. So it's a mechanical shaping. That is something you have access to.
Almost like a GM sort of like, I'm changing a little bit about this scene or how this is playing out kind of veto power.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fun. All right, I'll see how this plays out.
Solomon, you know that this man has 90 seconds. You see that his wife has started to calm. You see that the crowd has encroached a little bit further. It's oppressive. The heat of the bodies is starting to make your head spin as everyone looks to you to save this man.
Solomon has seen men, boys in wars with injuries like this, and he knows intimately that he has no time. And he's going to put a hand on Solomon's temple. Is he not Solomon? On Thomas's temple. Is he awake?
Groggily, but moving in and out of consciousness.
I think in this moment, knowing that he has 90 seconds, I think Solomon starts praying as well. But he's praying to Thomas for Thomas's soul.
I think what I would love to see happen right now as you pray for Thomas's soul is to see what the rest of the crowd does. But I think that will come down to a roll. If you were doing this to pray to Thomas's soul, what are you attempting to achieve?
Solomon in this moment is attempting to make this peaceful for him. With the blows that he's taken to his body, he knows that there is pain in him, and he is trying to have him let go of that pain and make this passage over peaceful, so he doesn't cling to something terrible.
And in trying to do that, how would you build that dice pool?
Appealing to emotion again, which is not his strongest suit. He has his hands there on the sides of Thomas's head, trying to ground him in a way. Focus on me and only me. And I think I would actually like to apply my skill of setting a bone in my steady hands to try and keep him from making any sort of movement that would make it worse.
I think that you can absolutely do that. I think that applies and makes sense to kind of calm this man into the next stage of his soul's existence.
Oh. 6.
You keep him calm. You keep him steady. Ruth is praying with his wife. And this crowd that gathered begins to pray as well. As Ruth, you hear not just one other voice, but 2, 3, 4, a dozen other voices praying for Thomas Hayward, who peacefully and quite calmly, thanks to Solomon, passes. The air goes deathly silent. Until you hear another voice. Papa? Papa? And pushing through the crowd, a 15-year-old boy.
Ruth pulls the scarf she has tied around her hair and puts it over Thomas's face.
This boy runs forward. You all saw it, right? You all saw what he did. They call that justice. They call it law. King's seal means fuck all. Lord's name means fuck all, you all praying. So Morley will do the same to every one of us, so there's nothing left standing. And his gaze turns on each of you one by one and then back to his mother. You helped him. You tried, I saw. You're not cowards like the rest of them. Don't let this be for nothing. Don't let him die and be forgotten in the mud. The crowd begins to pull back, murmuring heresy and danger. You know these soldiers may return. Agnes stays where she is, knelt beside her husband's body. Her husband's blood on her hands. And his voice of this young boy carries across the empty green. If there's any justice left in this fucking cursed land, we'll make it ourselves. As I tick the second segment on our scene clock.
I think she follows after him. William? Don't leave your mother there alone. Somebody has to bury Mr. Hayward. I have a shovel.
Thank you kindly. I shan't leave him. I'll support her. Only way I know how. Later that evening, rain begins to fall. The Hog's Head sits near the edge of the green, a low timber building, roof sagging. Inside, the air is thick with smoke and with grief. The few villagers that are gathered inside and here are speaking in low tones, pretending not to mention what they've seen today. I think we find all three of you here, but I don't know if you're all here for the same reason, to commiserate sharing a drink. Or if you're not used to coming here and this is perhaps an unusual place for you, what do you reckon? Do you usually come to the alehouse?
I think Sybil does. It's a good place to pick up clients. When they're deep in their cups, they may be more willing to divulge things that are weighing heavy. She'd take them to a quiet corner, or if it's really something deep, maybe take them back to her quarters or her house, wherever she lives, so they can unload their weary souls without fear of church retaliation or judgment. So she's used to being there. I think she's kind of milling around slowly, just if you need a shoulder to cry on, or if you need to unload anything, you know where I am. And she'll kind of pat people on the hands a little bit and just kind of sit herself with a beer in a quiet corner.
It's not long until someone sits down at the table beside you. Does that offer still stand?
Of course, always. Please sit, be comfortable.
And you will see, sat here beside you, old Ivo, an elderly man. He's a beekeeper in town. Tends not to indulge in that kind of piss. Much prefer something a bit stronger. As he gazes at your beer.
Oh, well, then allow me. And she'll call over to whoever's behind the bar and sort of nod towards Ivor, and they probably know what his usual is. And hopefully they'll bring it over to the table.
Unfortunate business what happened today, wasn't it?
Unfortunate, but inevitable.
Why inevitable?
Well, those who... Greed is unsatiable. You get a taste for it, and then what you have is no longer enough, and then you need more. No matter how rich they are, they're going to want more. Until there's nothing left to give.
Doesn't seem that way in my line of work. Everybody works for the benefit of everyone else, you see. At least amongst the hive.
I wonder if there's a way to show all the people here that the Queen is nothing without its workers. The Queen would starve, die. If only we could get them to see that each one of us has a stinger we can use. And there's more of us than there is of them.
The bees don't mind the tithe though, bless them. Give more than any lord ever did. And get back in the same equal amounts. So yes, you have a point. What do you think will come from today?
Well, it depends, I suppose, on whether all these people will see the truth. Whether they realise that they need us more than we need them. Or whether they'll live in fear like they usually do. But what about you, Ivor? Why are you sitting at my table?
You'll look left, look right. You don't share what you hear, correct?
Oh, never. She do a little cross over her heart.
I live in sin. As we all do, I guess, but
Mm.
this one I'm not sure how to come back from.
Sybil will lean over the table, kind of resting her chin on her fist. What do you mean, Ivor?
I didn't mean for it to end in blood. They asked me who wasn't paying what he owed, who thought himself clever enough to keep something aside. I said Harewood's name. I told them he was withholding grain. I told myself it were only truth, that everyone did it, and that a man could survive being taught a lesson. When I heard the beating, I stayed with me hives. I listened to the workers and pretended their noise was prayer. And then Thomas were dead. I didn't strike him, but my words put him in mud. Tell me, Sybil, what does a man do when fear turns his tongue into a weapon?
I think Sybil wipes at her mouth because there's a little bit, she's salivating a little at how juicy literally this sin is. Oh, Ivor. And she'll lean back as you do after you've had a good meal and sort of place her hand on her stomach. Do you feel better now? Because I do. Whew. That was filling.
Well, it's on someone else's shoulders now, so I guess I feel somewhat better. It stays between us though, right?
Like the church, it is sacrosanct. What's yours is mine and will stay mine forever.
At this same moment, a sparrow slips in through a broken shutter, flits around in the rafters, and Tib, who's the brewer, will grin through his grey beard and gesture towards you, Ruth, and say, "Oh, one's a regular he is. Pays no coin, drinks no well, leaves his business on my floor. Still, brings luck."
Yeah, they're good. They're good to keep around. It's nice that you let him visit.
I don't think I got much choice in the matter. Finds a way no matter how many times you patch up the holes in that thatch.
Nature will do that.
Beautiful little thing. Can I get you a drink?
Oh, no, thank you. Gosh.
You look a bit shaken up.
Well, I don't remember if you were here the last time I set foot in here, but it wasn't my favorite day of my life.
Takes a moment to recall. Oh yes, I'm so sorry. Lots has happened in these past years. It's hard to know who or what was touched by it.
Well, I heard this is where men come to shed tears, and well, I know I'm not a man, but I think it's about time we all had a place to do that, so here I am.
The tears tend to flow a little quicker when you have a little liquor, and we'll pour you a drink.
So you're a poet and a publican.
I try. I'm learning. It's slow going.
Ruth will take a sip and tries to be so polite with the face that she pulls when she tries that. Just places it back down. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Oh, how much do I, how much is it?
Absolutely nothing, little sparrow.
Oh, that's very generous.
At the other end. So Agnes took the body home. Ribbon's not done though, Solomon. Not while there's still grain in the ground. The Morley's law says he can take what he likes. Martha Treadwell, speaking to you once again. They call it liberty. I call it sin.
Martha, they can call it whatever the fuck they like. It doesn't change what they do. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Do you know, have they started to... Do you know where they're going to arrange a service for Thomas?
They'll probably act quite quickly, I imagine. Get the ground while it's still soft. Winter will be here shortly.
Right. And I think Solomon is maybe on his third, going into his fourth. After what happened, he went home very briefly and went back out again. And I think he's been here since. Martha, do you think that the soldiers have any idea? I call them soldiers. They're trumped up tax collectors at best. But if they try and do this with everyone that owes tithe, eventually there's going to be no one left.
Well, that's precisely the point, is that eventually they should stop having to do this because they'll beat everyone into fear, right? At least that's my understanding of it. And with that, a tick goes up on the county clock. Eventually they'll run out, but they won't let it get to that point. And by they, I mean everyone here won't let it get to that point. Because that would be foolish. Nearly suicide to let that happen.
When our good king decided that he wanted claim to the counties in France and whatnot and lay siege to everything, I'm pretty sure there were many a good person who thought otherwise, but the will of those more powerful than them seemed to eventually overtake. One moment.
You can't hold your brown.
I can hold it just as well as any man here. Oh. Ugh. What was I saying? Yes, the king. the king, the counties of France, marching in a. Do you know what happens to people, innocent people, when they try to wage war against more equipped armies, Martha?
As you finish that sentence, nothing to be worried about, but you hear some shouting outside. As you finish that sentence as well, in a corner, almost Aragorn-like in Fellowship of the Ring, another person in the corner will be sitting watching and just say, people rise up, stories spread, information moves as fast as a flame catches.
Yes.
And
who said that?
gentlemen, you can't quite see the face off right now.
I think Solomon is going to not politely turn away from Martha. You. Speak up if you're speaking.
Sit and have a drink if you're drinking.
Sit and have a drink. And Solomon will get up, take his drink. Martha, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Martha begins to hum a tune under her breath. And she sits quietly, and it's soft, it's rhythmic, it's the kind that you would sing quietly to children. And I think you would all recognise it if you heard it. A song from before the pestilence, when this place was still whole. A young cooper's apprentice, a young boy called Owen, hears this and pulls out a small wooden flute and joins in. The tune grows. At first it's a little hesitant and then it's strong as others begin to hum along or tap their tables in rhythm. For a brief few moments and breaths, this alehouse feels warm again. And as you sit down to drink if you're drinking, the door will open as cold air, wet boots, and a messenger's voice comes through the smoke and the shouting, and the tune falters. Fire! There's fire in the green! Young boy looks very panicked. Not the same young boy that you saw earlier. Another come to warn you of something happening.
No. Ruth is immediately up. Fire means damage to everything growing, everything drying.
Mm-hmm.
She is out the door. She is running.
Sybil will look at Ivor and, well, what are you waiting for? Time to make amends. Chop, chop. And she's gonna try and get him up, and then just kind of shout to everyone else in the bar, "What are you all sitting for? Get up! Let's help!"
People will run around, grab pails, and head into troughs outside and fill them. Martha continues to sing, oblivious to what's going on, as you head out and see the Reeves office, the small hall where de Morley's tithe records and decrees are kept, ablaze. Within moments, despite the rain, the glow flares to an orange. Smoke pours up from the building. People spill from homes out of this alehouse as well. Someone continues to just shout over and over again, fire, fire, fire. And through the chaos, a figure is seen. A young man, bareheaded, his face streaked with ash. William Hayward. In his hand, holding a pitch torch. And his voice will crack with fury and grief as he shouts to the crowd. He killed my father and you let him. So I'll burn his law to cinders. And he hurls the torch into the doorway. As the torch is hurled, this young boy takes a smack over the head from a cudgel. As Sir Aldous Ribbon's men charge across the square, 3 of them faces masked in steel and fury. One of them then drives their shoulder into Will, sending him sprawling into the mud. Another will kick the torch aside. The third pins his arms as others try and grab anything they can to douse these flames. The crowd gathers before Aldous Ribbon himself follows, a cloak whipping in the wind. He grabs the boy by the hair, yanking his head back. You think to mock the king's justice? You'll hang for this whelp. As Will spits blood at his feet. Then hang me. You'll never silence us all. Ribbon's gauntlet meets his face once, twice, before the men drag the boy to his feet and haul him towards the manor road. The fire still burns behind them, throwing their shadows long across the green of Havering. Father Anselm makes the sign of the cross, trembling. Martha stumbles through the threshold of the alehouse, whispering, "Go on yourself, little one." No one else follows to move. The rain begins to grow stronger, hissing against these flames. You've all seen it now. The spark, the punishment, the law closing its fist. A boy's grief turned to fire, and the fire answered by chains. Havering won't forget tonight, or forgive it.